How's it going, guys? What's up? Moses here, and today I'm bringing you a Path of Exile video showcasing my new character in Path of Exile since the last time I played, which was many years ago. The game has changed in many ways, and there's a lot of stuff to learn. It's a very exciting game. Basically, I've been playing this guy um, in the Softcore Legacy League for about 2 weeks, pretty much non-stop, a week and a half or so, pretty much non-stop. And now the build is finally kind of coming into place, and I decided to make a small, hopefully short video guide, just showcasing the items, links, gems, and kind of like how everything is put together. So the tree, when it comes to the tree, we chose Templar. Um, yeah, since the Templar class has a lot of access to some good life nodes, some good area nodes, Ancestral Bond, which is, it's a Totem, Flameblast Totem build, so it's very good, as well as fire, area damage nodes, bunch of good stuff for this build to actually work. Now, there are other versions that use Chaos Inoculation, which turns your life into one, but basically makes you focus on a lot of energy shield and essentially doubles your effective HP. If I got 5K, a lot of CI characters have about 10K energy shield, which is quite significantly more. So yeah, but that is quite expensive, and since this is my first character, I don't have any currency. Decided to stick with life for now, and I don't know, maybe we'll do some more characters later. Maybe we'll do a CI character as well. So basically, for the build, you pick up the Hierophant Ascendancy, which allows you to have 2 additional totems summon at the same time. So essentially, you're going to be able to cast 4 different totems with Ancestral Bond. You won't be deal any more damage yourself, but when you pick up Ancestral Bond, but you'll be able to have 4 additional totems with the Hierophant Ascendancy after you completed the dungeons, so the trials. Yeah. Basically, for this character, I've only done the normal, cruel, and merciless ones. I'm still missing the Uber one. There's still one trial that I haven't found. I got 5 out of 6, and I can't still do the overlap. But yeah, we'll complete that when we have the chance. When it comes to like mapping, at the moment I'm doing well, the highest I've reached are about tier 13 maps. At the moment I don't have any because they haven't quite dropped for me yet, but I have been able to complete a couple of tier 13 here and there, such as Shape the Toll map, Scriptorium map, and such. Maybe there's 1 or 2 more, not entirely sure. But yeah, we're progressing, and the build is very powerful, very strong, and is also very, like, relatively cheap. So yeah, let's jump into the gear, the items that I currently have. As I was leveling up, we're going to talk about that a little bit later, but currently this is the gear that I have. We're focusing a lot on crit. You want to have a lot of crit, as much as you possibly can get, because you don't really care for reflect damage. The totems get the reflect damage, and since you have 4 of them, and you can continue summoning and casting them, having them up all the time, it doesn't matter if one dies. You just recast it, and you can recast it pretty much infinitely. So they're always up all the time. So you want to be focusing on crit as much as possible. That's why we're using daggers, because they increase the global critical strike chance, as well as critical strike chance for spells, which is a mod you can get on, well, basically every weapon. And yeah, you want to have as much, basically, the stats that you want to have are like crit multiplier, you want to have spell damage, you want to have cast speed, and big lightning damage to spells, or fire damage to spells, or anything like that that has really big rolls will add significantly to the overall damage your character will be doing. So that's my first dagger. That's my second one. Um, Pretty much same stats. I'm missing cast speed, but you know, I'm basically playing, well, up until I guess around level 80 I was playing self-found for the most part, and then when I started to struggle around map tier, I guess around 9 or 10, I started doing a little bit of shopping, a little bit of refining, and now, you know, spent, I don't know, a few dozens of chaos orbs, and we got some nice gears. This one is actually I spammed a couple of chaos orbs on a fiend dagger that was item level 76, and I got this one, so pretty lucky. Crafted the spell damage there, which is also max, you know, 44 for, you know, the master stables. So pretty good stuff. That's for the weapons. On the gloves, basically just try to get as much resist life that you can get. Armor energy shield works pretty good. Evasion energy shield also would work pretty good to get a little bit of evasion, you know. So yeah, I got some resist, max energy shield, some decent life and dexterity. Over here pretty much the same, resists, life, dexterity, and yeah, movement speed. Over here the dagger already shown. This is a pretty nice ring. I was able to get it for like 6 or 7 chaos. Just kind of crazy. It was there and I just like kind of like instantly grabbed it. Big life, cast speed, fire damage, elemental resist, even more fire res. Really nice one. This one I actually found myself with the global crit chance, the life, the double resist, and I was able to also craft max energy shield on that one. This one is also self-found. I dropped this one from one of those talisman bosses from the League Stones. So we got cast speed, 26 spell damage, fire damage, and all resistance, strength for some extra, you know, bonus life. Really sick amulet. I don't know if you can get too much more, you know, in terms of like damage for the build. Yeah, when it comes to the belt, we're running, you know, double health, so leather belt, some resistances over here, and some strength for additional life. And on the chest, this one's actually crafted. Now, what I did here, when I started to get some currency, I was basically running a 5-link that I found through a prophecy. I can show you. Chest. Yeah, that one. I got this one through a prophecy. There's a prophecy that allows you to use one jeweler orb and you get like pretty much a 5-link. So I got that, spammed a couple of chaos orbs, got some resists or decent life roll, and just went with it. And yeah, I was running with this one for quite some time, and then we got this 6-link with essence crafting. I used the Shrieking Essence of something, not entirely sure. This one, Shrieking Essence of Greed, that allows us to get on body armor 110 to 119 life roll guaranteed. Basically I just needed one resist, and I crafted the second one as well, so double resist and really nice increased armor and energy shield bonus. So yeah, and max energy shield. I mean, this one is pretty great. Really boosted our energy shield. I think it was around 600, and then this one all of a sudden it was like, you know, 1.5k almost, so pretty nice. And when it comes to the helm, again, we got some resistances, some life, armor, energy shield, and that is the gear. When it comes to the flasks, we have remove bleeding and seething to get that instant recovery flask. Over here we got a chemist of dowsing to remove the burning. Chemist doesn't necessarily have to be that one. Experimenters is also a decent prefix. Over here I got experimenters, which increases sorry, experiment is not good for the life flask, but you can grab basically anything, just not like, I don't know. I don't like to use instant flask on the second one as well. I like to kind of have like an overtime regeneration, so that's pretty okay. Over here we got remove curses, remove burning, remove bleeding, remove freeze and chill, very important. And I was lucky enough to drop the wise oak, which essentially gives us 20%. It's worded very, very difficult to understand with all this uncapped elemental resist is the highest. It's kind of weird to understand, but basically what it means is that this potion will give you 10% damage reduction of your lowest elemental resist, and it will give you 20% pierce to the resistance that you have the highest. And on top of that, it will give you 35 bonus to all elemental resist, which gives a nice, way to deal with elemental weakness maps you can get by doing those. So basically what it means, you always have to have your fire resist to be always the highest. So in your hideout, in order to have maximum resistances, you want 75, right, when you're in merciless difficulty, but this actually shows maybe normal. So you want basically in the hideout to have 135 plus. So everything above 135 will give you the 75, which is the maximum resistances. And note that I have 165 fire resist, which means it's my highest one, and that's why I'll get 20% piercing to resistances, which essentially is a very, very big damage bonus right here. Alright, so when it comes to the gems and the links, over here we got the lightning warp, which is the movement skill right here. So whenever I E, I basically teleport. We link that with reduced duration, or less duration, and faster casting to be able to teleport quicker. On the right side here we got increased area of effect with flammability right here, right, which is our curse. Flammability allows us to basically pierce monsters' resistances by 44%, and gives us a chance to ignite the monsters. And then ignite supplies additional damage over time. But for the most part, the explosions and the crits is what's going to destroy and blow up everything. Ignite damage is not your main source of damage, just the Flameblast itself. On the boots we got basically when you're going to be starting out, you're going to be using well, 2 out of the 3. I'm running Clarity with Arctic Armor for the most part, but recently I was able to get Enlightened to level 3. I leveled up an Enlightened gem to level 2, corrupted it, and got a level 3. Got pretty lucky there, which basically means that it will give us a mana multiplier of 0.92 or 92%. This is linked to all the auras that we're using, and these auras in Path of Exile, there's a mana reserve mechanic that basically I'll just show you. It reserves a certain percentage of the mana that you're using for a certain aura. Now, Anger is an aura that adds big fire damage to our spells, so it will affect the totems to increase their damage quite significantly. We can see it right here. If we look at the spell totem damage, it's well, 5.1, and when I'm using Anger, it will jump to almost 6k, which is a pretty big damage boost, and of course it reserves a certain percentage of our mana. As well, I would use Arctic Armor for damage mitigation, both physical and fire. Arctic Armor is right here, and it will reserve essentially 25%, right? And last is Clarity. Clarity gives us flat mana regeneration. So if we look at our mana regeneration, it stands on 48.5, and with Clarity it's going to increase it, almost double it, to 92, right? So 92 mana per second. Now that leaves us with 93 mana right here, and this 93 mana is basically all we need in order to be able to cast our totems and cast our curse and summon our golem, right? So that's basically all we need. And up until now, before I had the Enlighten, I could not use all these three because of course I would not have enough mana to be able to cast my spells. I would be able to run all three auras, but
my mana is spent.
My character is useless without it. So with Enlighten, it really allows me to get that little bit of extra mana to be able to actually cast my spells. And since I'm regenerating 92, which is basically what I have here, I can cast my totems and my curses while the totems are up. And the golem is basically active until it dies, and then you just recast it. Pretty easy. So yeah, until the point where you have Enlighten leveled up to level 3, you won't be able to run this setup of all these three. So you have to choose between defensive and Clarity, or damage and Clarity, if you think you can get by without the Arctic Armor and the physical plus fire damage reduction that it gives you. Over here I got a setup with Power Charge on crit. Power Charges in Path of Exile are a mechanic that increases your critical hit chance. Whenever you gain a Power Charge, you get 4% critical hit chance to your skill. And with the tree, you're able to get to up to 5 Power Charges, so that's 20% more crit chance for your character. Now, the way to achieve those Power Charges are basically you cast a spell which is called Ice Spear that has an increased chance, 600% increased critical strike chance. Now you have Ancestral Bond on the tree, so the spell does not actually do damage, but when it hits, it does crit. Right? The Ice Spear will crit when it opens up. You can see in the animation, it's like starts out as straight arrows and then it kind of like opens up. So you need to be a bit far away from the monsters for them to actually hit the open mode of the Ice Spear. But when that happens, it has 600% increased critical strike chance. So instead of 7%, it's 7 times 6. And since it's linked by greater multiple projectile, you actually, you shoot 5 different Ice Spears. And since it's also linked with Spell Echo, essentially one click means you cast it twice every time. So you're dishing out a lot of these Ice Spears that have a lot of critical strike chance, and you're getting your Power Charges pretty quickly while your totems are up. Alright? So you're always going to have to play with your totems, you're right clicking on the Ice Spear, and your curses to be able to pierce resistances to the monsters. Now, when you get your Ascendancy's Conviction of Power, this will be after you're done with the Merciless lab or laboratory. When you've done your Merciless lab, you will be able to get these 2 extra Ascendancy points. Your first will be, and second, normal and Merciless, you'll be going towards Ritual of Awakening, and then Conviction of Power at your Merciless laboratory. right? So what this does is basically passively gives you power charges and also endurance charges, because you will be killing monsters, and every time you kill a monster you gain a power charge that actually lasts you quite some time, 12 seconds. And of course, you know, when you're doing a map, the area is filled with monsters, you're constantly killing, and you'll have 95% uptime of 5 charges of your power charge without even casting Ice Spear once. You would want to cast some Ice Spear when you're against single target, like when you're fighting bosses, for example. You'd want to cast some Ice Spears to get those charges. It will still work. That's the reason why I still have my Ice Spear setup, just to keep it against single targets. And the beautiful thing about it is also it gives you endurance charges, which reduces physical damage. Now, in the tree, I'm not spec into endurance charges, so the natural maximum number of endurance charges for every character is 3. So for the most part, about, I would say, 70% of the time when we're running the map, 80% of the time when we're running the map, when we're clearing, when we're killing monsters, we will be able to have 3 stacks of our endurance charges, for the most part, which will give us some more damage reduction and a bit of tankiness. When it comes to the helm, the links goes cast when damage taken, and this will proc Molten Shell and Immortal Call. Molten Shell will give you a little bit of armor. Immortal Call will give you an immunity to physical damage for 0.4 seconds, and then that 0.4 seconds, short period of time, is also multiplied by 1.64, which is increased skill effect duration. So for somewhere around a little bit over half a second, I guess, you'll have immunity from physical damage, which can keep you from dying. And this will proc every time that you take 661 damage, because your cast when damage taken is level 3. Now you want to note that you always want to have skills, support skills that require level 42 or lower. So you do not want to level up, you do not want to level up your Immortal Call or Molten Shell to the point where they will require level 43, because then cast when damage taken won't be able to support it. Of course, if you increase the level of cast when damage taken, it will allow you to use these, but it would also require you to take a larger amount of damage to in fact proc, and to in fact proc those skills. So you don't want to do that either, because you don't want to reach a point where it procs when you're already at half HP. So when you're taking a small hit, this will proc, preventing you from taking more damage. That's essentially what this defensive setup does. Yeah, so you keep those gems unleveled, basically. Now for the main damage and spell power and the Flameblast and spell totems, we got the 6 link here. This will again work with 5 links as well. We got the spell totem linked with Flameblast. I tried getting it to 21 by volleying it, and it did not work. So we only have level 20 with 20 quality. Spell totem with Flameblast. Linked with increased critical strike, which basically increase critical strike chance for your skill. Faster casting, because that affects the totems. Unlike Spell Echo does not work on Spell Totem. So as much as I would love to have it, the 70% more cast speed would be quite insane, and being able to repeat the spell 1 additional time, it does not work here. So instead we're using faster casting, increased crits, the Flame Blast, control destruction, which reduces the skill's crit chance by 100%, but increases um, the skill's damage by 43% more spell damage. And because it's 20 quality, we get the 10 additional spell damage bonus. It's a very very powerful gem. Linked with the spell totem and yes, fire penetration as well. To penetrate some more resist, 20 quality gives us 10% more fire resist, more fire damage. Yeah, well, I think I pretty much covered everything. All there is left to do is talk a little bit about the way I leveled up. I did not grab Ancestral Bond, I think, until I was around, I don't know, pretty late. I was running fire or flame totems and magma orbs, and it was quite a lot of fun. I swapped, I think, in the middle of or the end of Cruel difficulty to like a 4-link with spell totem and faster casting and increased crit and Flameblast. So it was just a 4-link, and then I got this nice prophecy with the 5-link. We added the control destruction, and then with the 6-link we were able to add fire penetration once we got that. But basically magma orb or whatever, it worked pretty nicely because magma orb is also fire damage, so it gets the benefit of all the fire damage nodes picking up along the tree. Yeah, when it comes to the gems, I recently changed them since I acquired some currency, but again, they weren't like too expensive. The gems ran between, I guess, 5 to 25 chaos orbs. I don't exactly remember the prices, but somewhere around that. On the gems, you want increased fire damage, you want cast speed, you want crit damage, area damage, even totem damage. All of those things work with the build. This is an example of one that we have here. We got this one over here: spell damage, fire damage, area damage, mana regen, just as a bonus. That was there. Over here we got fire cast speed, global crit multi, and 7% life. We have another life one over here with some fire damage, global crit damage. Yeah, that's pretty much the build, and I've been having actually quite a lot of fun playing it. At the moment I'm level 90. I'm thinking about pushing a little bit more with the build and see how it how it will play out in the end, or how far it can push. But yeah, for the most part, I don't know. Maybe Diablo 2 ladder is finally going to start, and then I'm going to leave Path of Exile for a couple of weeks, level up a new sorceress. Maybe I decide to start a new character, new build. Maybe I get bored from Flameblast, but I've been playing it for quite a lot. Yeah, yesterday we did Atziri for the first time. That was very very awesome. We even got this Mortal Hope drop. They told me it's the lowest drop chance of them all. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys will find this build enjoyable. I know you will, and it's a very nice build to start with if you're pretty clueless to the game. As you see, I'm not using any uniques. I'm going to leave a link to the thread that I basically followed. They do a lot of things there differently than I have, but it's Path of Exile. There's no correct or wrong answers. For the most part, it's you play the game, you see what works out for you, you see what you enjoy, and you go for it. So that's pretty much what I did. And I also didn't want to go exactly hand in hand with every single node that they're going for in their build. It's very very similar, of course, but I did it my way, as the song says. So there you go, you have your 30-minute guide, and of course I hope you guys come here and check out the stream. As a matter of fact, we've been streaming every day, we've been having a blast, And Path of Exile is an excellent game to get into, especially since pretty soon they're going to, bring in a big expansion coming in, 3.0, huge changes, 6 more acts. It's basically insane. And this Atlas, just awesome stuff coming in. All these maps, man, we've been grinding. We got 86 maps completed, and we're working towards completing it all. Yeah, it's gonna be pretty awesome. So yes, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks very much for watching, and I hope to see you guys on stream. Bye bye, friends.